You can spend your life chasing success on the outside. You can build wealth. You can sculpt your body. You can earn applause, admiration, even envy. But if the voice inside your head is still tearing you down, still doubting, still afraid, then no amount of external achievement will bring peace. Because a healthy mindset doesn't start with what you do. It starts with who you choose to become. And that choice begins within. You weren't born broken. You weren't born doubting yourself. Somewhere along the line, through pain, rejection, failure, and comparison, you learned to see yourself through a distorted lens, a lens shaped by fear instead of faith, scarcity instead of abundance, judgment instead of compassion. But the truth, that lens can be shattered. You are not bound to your past. You are not stuck with the thoughts that limit you. You can transform the battlefield of your mind into sacred ground, because within you lies the power to shape your reality, not by force, but by focus, not by trying harder, but by thinking higher. Understand this: every belief you hold is a seed, and your mind, it is the soil. Plant seeds of worry, and you will harvest stress. Plant seeds of blame, and you will reap powerlessness. But plant seeds of faith, discipline, and courage, and what will grow is a life of strength, clarity, and meaning. This is the foundation. Mindset is not a buzzword. It is the silent architect of your destiny. Think of the greats: Lincoln, who endured relentless failure before stepping into greatness; Disney, who was fired for lack of imagination; Edison, who failed over 10,000 times yet never accepted defeat as final. They weren't special because they never doubted. They were powerful because they didn't let doubt win. They trained their inner world, and that's where transformation begins. Not in the gym, not at the bank, not on social media, but in the silence of your own thoughts. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. You can let the old voice of limitation narrate your life again, or you can start rewriting the script. But you cannot change what you're unwilling to confront. So ask yourself, what thoughts dominate your mornings? What beliefs have you inherited, not chosen, that still steer your decisions? You cannot heal what you won't name, and you cannot grow in soil poisoned by self-rejection. This is why self-awareness is not a luxury. It is the price of freedom. Begin to notice your internal dialogue. When you face a setback, what do you hear? Is it, "I'm not enough"? Is it, "I knew I'd fail"? Or is it, "This is my lesson, this is my edge, this is where I rise"? You don't need toxic positivity. You don't need to fake joy. You need honesty. You need to witness your emotions without becoming them. To feel fear and still choose courage. To feel doubt and still choose discipline. The strongest people are not those who never fall. They're the ones who get up with a deeper level of self-trust. And trust comes from truth. There is power in naming your limits. Power in saying, "This thought is not mine. This belief was taught to me, but I don't have to keep carrying it." Burn it, rewrite it, replace it with something that uplifts instead of oppresses. Because what you tolerate in your mind, you will repeat in your life. You cannot out-hustle a weak self-image. You cannot outwork the beliefs that say you're not worthy. Your energy, your confidence, your clarity, all of it flows from your internal world. Want to change your results? Start by changing your identity. Stop saying, "I'm trying to become confident." Start saying, "I am someone who builds confidence every day." Stop saying, "I hope I make it." Start saying, "I decide that I will rise." This isn't magic. This is mental training. This is self-leadership. You will be tested. Life will throw storms your way, not because it wants to break you, but because it's demanding that you become unbreakable. Growth lives in resistance. Just like the muscles in your body grow through tension, your mind becomes stronger through challenge. You need adversity. You need setbacks, because every obstacle is an invitation to choose power over pity, ownership over excuses, grit over quitting. But this only works if you believe something greater is possible. And that belief must be cultivated day by day, thought by thought. Because here's the truth. No mentor, no strategy, no perfect plan will ever work unless you believe you are worthy of the results. And worthiness is not something you earn. It is something you own. It starts from within. Most people are not held back by a lack of resources. They're held back by a lack of resourcefulness, not by the absence of opportunity, but by the absence of belief. The difference between someone who rises and someone who stays stuck isn't talent. It's inner permission. Permission to want more, to ask for more, to be more. But here's what they don't tell you. Permission is not given, it's claimed. You don't wait for the world to validate your value. You declare it. You walk into every room like you belong, not because you're better, but because you finally realize your worth is not up for negotiation. The world reflects what you project. If you carry yourself like you're not enough, people will believe you. If you show up grounded, clear, and focused, the world has no choice but to respond. Confidence isn't noise, it's a quiet knowing. And it's built one promise at a time. You want a healthy mindset? Then keep your promises to yourself, especially when no one's watching. Get up when the alarm goes off. Follow through on what you said you'd do. Speak the truth even when it shakes your voice. These are not small acts, these are bricks. And every brick builds a fortress inside of you that no failure, no rejection, no opinion can tear down. Discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect in motion. You will not always feel motivated. You will not always feel inspired. But if you're disciplined, you don't need to. Because discipline is loyalty to your future self, even when the current version wants to quit. And that is power. Do you want to rise? Then stop feeding your excuses and start feeding your potential. Excuses are just lies dressed in logic. They sound reasonable, but they keep you small. I'm too tired. I don't have time. It's not the right moment. Number, it's not that you can't. It's that you've trained your mind to believe comfort is more important than growth. But the truth is this: comfort is the enemy of greatness. Nothing remarkable was ever built in the safety zone. Edison didn't invent in comfort. Lincoln didn't lead in comfort. Oprah didn't rise in comfort. They all stepped into fire and found themselves on the other side. You want to lead a meaningful life? Then you must be willing to do uncomfortable things. That means setting boundaries, saying no when it's easier to say yes, choosing focus over distraction, choosing progress over perfection. Perfection is a prison. You will never be fully ready. The stars will never perfectly align. Take the first step anyway. Clarity comes through movement, not before it. You don't become confident and then act. You act again and again, and confidence is the result. This is how identity is built, through action. You are not your past. You are your pattern, and you can change that pattern starting today. Start showing up as the version of yourself you respect, not the one who waits for permission, not the one who gives up at the first sign of difficulty, the one who shows up, bleeding if needed, shaking if needed, but moving forward regardless, because you don't build a healthy mindset through avoidance. You build it through radical responsibility. Take responsibility for your time, for your choices, for your emotions. Stop blaming your past, your parents, your circumstances. It's not your fault what happened, but it is your responsibility to heal and move forward. There is no progress without ownership. You cannot change what you refuse to claim. The mind thrives on clarity. If your life feels chaotic, check your clarity. Do you know what you truly want? Not what you think you're allowed to want. Not what your parents or peers expect of you, but what your soul whispers when the noise dies down. Get honest. Write it down. Not to impress anyone, but to anchor your focus, because a scattered mind leads to a scattered life. But a focused mind, that's a weapon. Focus is not something you're born with, it's trained. And it begins by removing what doesn't serve you, the distractions, the draining habits, the toxic inputs. You must protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. Your peace is your power. So turn off the noise. Detox your digital life. Guard your mornings. Command your evenings. Stop scrolling your time away. Start living your time like it matters. because it does. Every minute you spend feeding your distractions is a minute stolen from your destiny. Discipline your focus and your results will multiply. But discipline alone is not enough. You need something deeper. You need purpose. Because purpose gives pain a place to go. Purpose turns sacrifice into fuel. Without purpose, even the smallest obstacle feels unbearable. But with it, you become unstoppable. You wake up not just to grind, but to serve, to contribute, to become the person your vision requires. You stop asking, what do I feel like doing today? And start asking, what must I do today to move closer to who I'm meant to become? That's the difference between average and excellence. And it all begins within. Purpose isn't some mystical discovery you stumble upon. It's something you create. It's born from pain, passion, and a refusal to waste your life. It's not found in a perfect job or a 5-year plan. It's found in the decision to live with meaning every single day. And that decision rewires everything. When you live with purpose, your standards rise. You stop entertaining drama, distractions, and excuses. You stop settling for relationships that drain you. You stop waiting for the right time to act on your dreams. You realize that every moment of hesitation is a betrayal of your potential. You weren't born to live on autopilot. You weren't meant to fit in, to coast, to exist half awake in a world that demands your full power. You were built to create, to elevate, to stretch beyond what's comfortable. You were built to lead, if not others, then yourself. And leadership starts with consistency. Stop chasing motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. But consistency, that's the engine of transformation. Think of the greats: Serena Williams, Kobe Bryant, Beethoven, Da Vinci. It wasn't talent alone that made them legendary. It was the willingness to practice when no one watched, to show up when it wasn't exciting, to persist through boredom, through pain, through failure. They didn't always feel like it, and they simply did it anyway because they understood this truth. Consistency compounds. 1 page a day becomes a book. 1 workout becomes strength. 1 act of courage becomes a life of boldness. And here's what's even more powerful. Consistency builds identity. Every time you follow through, you tell your mind, this is who I am. Not just someone who dreams, but someone who executes. And the more you act in alignment with the person you want to be, the more your mind starts to believe it. But belief alone isn't enough. You need emotional resilience. Because life will not go to plan. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will test you. And if your mindset isn't fortified from within, you will break. You must become emotionally self-sufficient. That doesn't mean you never feel. It means you feel everything and still choose your response. You don't explode. You don't suppress. You regulate. You become the calm in the storm, not because the storm isn't real, but because you've built an anchor within. This is mastery. Not being controlled by your triggers, not being defined by your pain, but using every experience as a catalyst to sharpen your emotional intelligence. When you're triggered, don't react. Investigate. What fear is being poked? What belief is being challenged? Because emotions are data. If you listen closely, they reveal where the healing needs to happen. But most people never pause long enough to listen. They numb, they run, they distract. Don't be most people. Sit with the discomfort, study it, then choose who you want to be, not reactively, but intentionally. This is the path to peace. And peace is not passive, it is power. You can be fierce and peaceful, focused and flexible. You can hold vision with grace and ambition with humility. This is not a contradiction, this is balance, and balance is built by boundaries. You need boundaries with your time, with your attention, with your energy. Stop giving everyone unlimited access to you. Your energy is currency. Spend it with purpose. Not every message needs a reply. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every invitation must be accepted. Guard your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. The more you respect your limits, the more power you have to expand them. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's a symptom of misaligned priorities. Rest is not laziness, it is restoration. And you cannot pour from an empty vessel. So sleep well, eat with intention, move your body like it deserves love, not punishment. Breathe deeply, slow down when needed, pause often, because in the pause your wisdom speaks. In the stillness, clarity returns. And when your mind is clear, your next step becomes obvious. That's the beauty of building a healthy mindset. It's not about doing more. It's about thinking better, choosing better, aligning better. It's not about being perfect. It's about being whole. And wholeness begins when you stop outsourcing your worth, your identity, your peace to the outside world. It begins when you say, I am enough, I am capable, I am becoming. It begins within. The world will always try to pull you outward, to define you by numbers, your income, your weight, your followers, your trophies. But the truth, none of that lasts. What lasts is how you see yourself in the dark, what you whisper when no one's around, what you stand for when it would be easier to stay silent. Your mindset is your compass. And if it's broken, even the best map in the world won't get you where you want to go. So fix the compass, rebuild the foundation, not with slogans or empty affirmations, but with deep internal truth. Ask yourself, what am I pretending not to know? What have I tolerated for too long? What would change if I treated my mindset like my most valuable asset? Because it is. You wouldn't pour sugar into your car's engine and expect it to run. Yet so many of us pour garbage into our minds, endless comparison, negative self-talk, toxic content, and wonder why we're anxious, unmotivated, stuck. You have to clean the engine, reroute the narrative, design your inner world with as much care as your outer world. This is not optional if you want to thrive. A healthy mindset doesn't guarantee life will be easy, but it ensures that you are strong enough to handle life. When the storms come, and they will, you won't break. You'll bend, you'll adapt, you'll grow. And maybe that's the real purpose of every challenge you've faced, not to destroy you, but to awaken you. To remind you of your own power, to force you to meet the parts of yourself that only emerge in the fire, to bring you back to the truth, that everything you've been searching for, confidence, clarity, courage, it's not out there, it never was. It's already in you, it's just been buried under doubt, under fear, under years of programming that said you weren't enough, but you are. You always were. And now it's time to rise. To rebuild yourself from the inside out, to lead from within, speak from within, act from within. Because a healthy mindset doesn't start with the world changing. It starts with you, deciding to become your own source of certainty, choosing to master your emotions rather than be ruled by them, committing to speak to yourself with the same power you use to lift others. You don't need to become someone else. You need to return to the version of you that never doubted her dreams, that never apologized for wanting more, that knew instinctively that you were meant for something greater. That version is still there, and she's waiting. Waiting for you to stop shrinking, waiting for you to stop explaining, waiting for you to finally say, I'm done surviving. I'm ready to build from the inside out. So building brick by brick, belief by belief, habit by habit. Build a mind so strong that no setback can sink it. Build a spirit so grounded that no opinion can shake it. Build a life that reflects what you've always known deep down. That a healthy mindset starts not with what you earn or what you prove, but with what you choose to believe about yourself. And from that belief, you will become unstoppable.